Kieran says, hey there, I had a few questions from last week, which unfortunately you were not able to get to. So here they are. The SEO PowerShield Syndication Network. If you order an SEO PowerShield, it comes with the syndication network. However, I am assuming it's a single-tiered syndication network. Yes, it is, the branded network. But let's say I want a multi-tiered syndication network. Is there an upgrade option rather than purchasing a full syndication network since single-tiered network already exists? Contact support at mgyb.co and make that request. And I'm not sure, maybe Marco's sure, but I'm fairly certain that we can accommodate that sort of a request, but it's going to have to be a custom order as opposed to just something that's done through the normal channel, if that makes sense. Marco, is that something we can do?
Maybe. We'd have to bolt on the tiered syndication network to the already existing syndication. But why would you want a tiered syndication network when tier 1 works just fine?
I mean, that's a good question. I would ask the same thing, but maybe he has a reason. So,
okay, I mean, fine. Write to support, and then what Rob and I will do is we'll sit and talk about it and see if it's even worth it, because the price that we might have to charge you may not make it worth it to you.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think, I mean, if you have a reason for wanting a multi-tiered syndication network, then by all means do that. But I don't, we have been encouraging people to not use multi-tiered syndication networks for blog syndication because they're kind of a pain in the ass to maintain. However, if you've got something like RSS Masher, which is Damon Nelson's product, it's really good for creating beautiful spliced feeds with it's really, really cool. You can create really cool custom spliced feeds and use that to power your second tier networks, so that you have multiple relevant content sources posting to those networks, which is what we recommend. And with something like RSS Masher, it becomes much, much easier to maintain multi-tiered networks. The more manual method, which is how it had been done for years, requires adding a bunch of relevant RSS content feeds to the second tier triggers, which becomes a nightmare. Because let's say that if all you did was add, 3 additional, so you got your money side RSS feed, but then let's say that you had 3 additional relevant content feeds for each blog, a second tier syndication network, right? So if there's 3 of them, which is there are the way that we build them. So the first single tier is first ring, right? 1 ring. And then there's 3 syndication networks on the second tier, each being triggered by one of the blogs from the tier 1 network, right? So when I say blogs, I mean Blogger, Tumblr, or WordPress. But if you were to add 3 additional content feeds at the second tier trigger point, so for each one of those, you would need an additional 9 feeds, relevant content feeds that you don't control. And not only that, you have to set up a separate set of recipes or applets inside of IFTTT for each feed. So let's say there's 15 applets that you need to set up for each RSS feed that you add. That's an additional 45 applets per syndication network that you need to create, which in itself is not that bad. It's a bit tedious, but once it's done, it's done. But the problem occurs when you don't have control over those feeds. And because of that, things can happen to their site, the site that you're using the feed from, where it could have I've seen RSS feeds hiccup and they just spit out a shit ton of posts, and it can terminate have a lot of your syndication network properties terminate because of over publishing. Things could break. This is a ton of things that cause a lot of maintenance issues. And if you're just dealing with one project, it's okay because it's, you're only managing one project, but you've got SEO in your name up here. So I'm assuming you probably do client work or more than just one project. And so multi-tiered networks become kind of a nightmare too cumbersome to manage when you're doing multiple projects. At least that's my opinion, unless you're using something like RSS Masher, which really simplifies that process and adds a whole lot of control to even the input feeds that you create the super or spliced feed from, because it has filters and all these other really cool things. Like it can actually strip out content from the feed. There's a code inserter, a code stripper. There's all kinds of things in there. So again, multi-tier networks are not recommended. Obviously, if you know what you're doing and you have a strategic reason for using it, then by all means do so. Okay.